Microsoft Edge, in the alpha testing, beta testing kind of category, now supports mouse and keyboard navigation on the Xbox. And they have been working really hard to implement mouse and keyboard support across everything on the Xbox. So I just got a notice when I was playing Master Chief Collection that it told me, hey, you can now switch to playing primarily with mouse and keyboard in Master Chief Collection as well. And now they're introducing it to the Microsoft Edge browser as well. And what's really fascinating, you can play Google Stadia with mouse and keyboard on the Microsoft Edge browser on the Xbox. So you can play Google Stadia on your Xbox if you want. Now, this seems really silly as a demo, but overall, this is IMO really important. And again, this is still super for alpha testers. It's still not full release yet. But this is really important because we were touting, a lot of us who were covering the Xbox consoles and things like that, were touting that with the release of the Xbox Series S, not the X, but the S specifically, that suddenly, for the first time in what seems like a while, and this is ironic to say now in the context of PC parts being unobtainium, but in the context, without that context, for the first time in a while, the Xbox Series S allows you to basically get a far better value in terms of gaming performance, in terms of compute power, in terms of general usability, especially with the mouse and keyboard support. You can actually do, you know, PC-like things, and it supports external drives, media playback, all of that. You can run web apps. He's sitting here typing up a document. The Xbox Series S for $300, assuming you can get it, which that's improving over time and people are still getting them. It creates a point where for the first time in quite a while, the Xbox Series S supplants PCs with value. So for $300, you get 1440p, 120 hertz gaming. You get all of the generations of Xbox gaming. So you can play Xbox games, you can play Xbox 360 games, you can play Xbox One games, you can play Xbox Series games, you can play the arcade games, and now you can play Stadia games. And you can do general computing on it with a mouse and keyboard, to the extent that for a lot of people, especially who just want to play games and do occasional computing stuff, the Xbox Series S makes far more sense to buy in place of a computer than a computer. It can run Windows Store apps. You can download VLC on it. You can download, I think there was like Skype support at one point. I think TeamSpeak was trying to get on there. You can download emulators for it. You can put it into dev mode and run PS2 games and PS1 games and all sorts of games via the RetroArch emulator. You can now run web browser games. You can do pretty much everything. And so, effectively, for a wide variety of people, the Xbox is turning into much more of a value for being a PC than actually buying a PC. And that is really bonkers to me. And again, I do need to kind of disclaim this a little bit with the obvious issue of, can you buy it right now? Now, I will say, I keep seeing, if you follow, what's his name? Cheap Ass Gamer. That's his name. Yeah. So at Video Game Deals, Cheap Ass Gamer, they are always posting when things come back in stock. In terms of consoles, games, things like that. And so they regularly have updates. Obviously, I'm not finding any now, but they were just replying to Alana Pierce about the Xbox Series S being in stock at Walmart. They are always posting about Xbox Series X, S, and X stocks and things like that. And you can pick one up for about $300. Play 1440p, 120 hertz gaming in games like Siege and Call of Duty and Battlefield and all sorts of stuff. And you can now do normal computing stuff. So I really think this is reaching a point where even when PC hardware becomes more available, a lot of people, essentially how people replace their computers with an iPad or a phone or a tiny little Mac Mini, and you might be looking at that and be like, no, I could never do that, blah, 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 blah. And there are a lot of people that I think it would make more sense to get a 1440p, 120 hertz monitor, you know, like this one back here, set that up, get a mouse and keyboard, get your controller, get a charger set up, and then plug in your mouse and keyboard and treat it as the Xbox Series S as a PC. And it just makes so much more sense. It just makes so much more sense, IMO. And so I really think we're going to see some stuff. And Steggy's pointing out that it was easier to pick up an Xbox over a PS5. That seems to be the case. Also, he mentioned, I forgot, Wario64 is the other deals account that is also posting about stock and things like that. So if you want cheap game deals or to figure out when consoles are in stock, that's another account that will post those things as well. So pretty powerful IMO. Good stuff there.